Well, welcome along to the Sporting Life Time Form Weekend Best Bets. David Ord joined by Matt Brocklebank and Andy McLaren to take a look ahead to two of the featured contests on the card at Sandown. Andy, let's start at 3:38. No better place to start. The big domestic contest of the day. It's the Virgin Bet Solario Stakes. Mortlake, top of the shop on Time Form ratings, as you can see, but only just.
Yeah, there's not a lot to go off here in terms of ratings. A lot of these, the majority of the field, have only had one or two runs. You see Mortlake is top there, but he's had those two runs, so he's had more opportunity to show what he can do, unlike Starlaw and Arblan. So it's a race, obviously for the 2-year-old. It's all about potential rather than proven ability.
Matt, these are always very difficult races to get an angle on, because it's that sort of juggling act between the horses that won well on debut against those who are slightly more established, although in this race's case not particularly that established anyway. Let's talk Starlaw, a rare debut winner for the Sir Michael Stout team here at Sandown. Significant too, he was strong in the market this day.
Yeah, he was. He was about 9-2, I think. Not many Stout juveniles win first time out. This was Stout's only 2-year-old winner of the season as well. That raw pace he's got, that's what you want in a Solario, I think. A couple of these are potentially more stayers for the future. But look how he travels up there to lead. He leaves Devil's Point just in behind there for dead. He's a reopposing horse on Saturday. And in the end, he probably didn't do a whole lot when he got to the front and nearly got beat by a 33-1 shot in the end, who's been beaten in a novice race since. But you couldn't help but be impressed by the way that he quickened. He's got a bit of that Kingman magic, hasn't he? If you go back a decade, Kingman actually won this race himself. And then when you think of when you think of Kingman as a sire, I always think of Palace Pier, his best horse so far, who was 3 from 3 at Sandown, and he didn't win this race, but he won twice as a juvenile on the track. So I think they've probably targeted this race. He has had the time off, hasn't he? He's had, like thick end of 2 months off since the debut. Perhaps just given a bit of time to fill out his frame and mature. That very sort of traditional patient approach from Stout. I've no doubt he's the horse to beat in this race. It's whether you want to be playing in a 2-year-old race with plenty of potential elsewhere, but he's the horse to beat based on that running, and you'd imagine there's improvement to come.
Another unknown quantity, Andy, Arblan for Charlie Appleby and the Godolphin team. They'd be desperate to unearth a good 2-year-old or 3-year-old prospect or two this autumn. Here he is winning on debut on the July course at Newmarket. Were you taken by this?
Yeah, not really, no. I mean, the front three pulled quite a long way clear of the rest, and initially you'd look at that and think, yeah, this could be a good bit of form, that could be 3 nice juveniles, but the second been out and got beat at odds on since, and the third came out and won, but that was a pretty ordinary maiden at Beverley, so I'm not sure how good this form actually is. My first port of call in this race most years would be, look, what's Charlie Appleby running? I'll back that. But he just doesn't seem to have the ammunition that he's normally had this year. And I think it's actually noteworthy as well that James Doyle's on him. William Buick's gone to Chester to ride military order. If they thought this horse was a real top-notcher, I think Buick could be here to ride this.
Interesting angle, yeah, that Buick is heading to Chester for admittedly an interesting colt. But yeah, Arblan there winning on debut at Newmarket. Matt, it's hard to be dogmatic with these races tactically and in terms of pace maps, etc. They're so lightly, sparsely raced. But could this be a typical 2-year-old pattern race? Are we guaranteed to gallop up top? We've got the time form pace, Matt.
I don't think we're guaranteed much pace, no. So it could be a really interesting battle. Obviously, we are looking at, like you said, James Doyle, Oisin Murphy, Ryan Moore, 3 of the best in the business when it comes to executing in these races. But Moore's not going to be too far off the pace, I wouldn't have thought. As you can see there, he's at the bottom. Starlaw, Mortlake. Now he's a fascinating one. Obviously, the improvement that he made between first and second runs was quite remarkable. He looked completely clueless. He was finished 6th of 8. Well beaten on his debut, and then at Leicester he just turned him inside out. He looked like a different horse. He went to the front, made the run in, didn't really see a rival, won by 5 lengths. So very hard to pin down, hard to find out sort of where the ceiling of his ability might lie, and I'd imagine Ross O'Ryan might want to get on with it with him out in front, so he could be the one to catch. I suspect Starlaw might be not too far behind and laying down the challenge just with a furlong and a half to go.
Starlaw, your tip?
I think Starlaw, but probably not a betting race for me.
Andy, 1-word selection, or 2 if it's a 2-word name?
Starlaw, but again, like Matt, wouldn't be a betting race for me.
One that probably is at 3 o'clock, the Virgin Bet Handicap, one of the big punting races on this ITV racing card. We've got the time form ratings for this, and it's competitive. They're much more known about these horses, much more known quantities. Top of the shop, dual identity, and selecting the Spot Life Lucky 15 as well, this one.
Yeah, it's easy to see why he's top rated. He's starting to look like a really well handicapped horse. He finished 3rd in the Cambridge last year, but he was first home in his group by a distance He finished, I think it was 12th in the Royal Hunt Cup this year, but he was actually second home in his group there, so it was another good run. He's been dropping down the weight. He's a course and distance winner. There's lots to like about him. Garcia, he was a bit disappointing last time, but his run at Haydock before that, where he finished 4th, the form's been franked by the horses that finished in front of him. And Groundbreaker as well, I think he's quite interesting on his first run after a wind-up.
Matt, I'm going to be trying to delay because you know how hard it is to produce a DOM to go from graphic to video replay. So I'm going to give you more of a segue into Garcia. And I don't mean to do that. Oh, he's doing it. That's record time. Here's Garcia in action behind Wotton's Son at Newmarket. Haydock. On the back of this, you thought he'd run a big race in the Eber?
I do have previous, Dave, with Garcia, yes. I don't think I was the only one. In the end, he didn't run in the Ord, did he?
It's yellow silks, isn't he? Yellow.
Yeah, sorry, yellow there in with the blue cap, about 5th or 6th there on the inside, and he stayed on fairly well. It was an encouraged run, as Andy's already touched upon. The form worked out with Scampi and Wotton's Son. It is a good run. It was one that did encourage me to back him for the Ord. I just thought he was staying on nicely there, and unfortunately, he just didn't go through with the effort at Ascot last time out. That was over 1.5 miles as well, and I kind of thought he might be moving up in distance. If anything, it just looks like a little bit of a stab in the dark to drop all the way back to 10 furlongs. Now, he could prove me wrong, but he's only come down a pound. For me, he's a good, £5 higher than for his last win. He just hasn't quite come up to scratch. I think Haggis was hoping he might be a pattern horse in the making. He's not for me dropping to 10 furlongs, Dave.
I know what else is on your shortlist for this.
The two I've already mentioned, really. I think Dual Identity is an obvious one. I mean, we've been talking about him before we came down here this morning. He's been quite well backed already. We're recording this on Friday. I think he's favourite at the moment, but he's just got loads in his favour. Like I said, he's a course and distance winner. He's well handicapped. My concern with him is his run style. He is normally held up, and from stall 10, he could get some traffic problems. And the other one I'd be quite keen on as well is Groundbreaker. I think he's a horse who... He's got a lot of ability, but he's just not really been able to show it yet. He's got some really strong form as a 3-year-old. And his comeback run at Chester, it was on soft ground, first run after a gelding. I thought that was an okay run. And then last time, he hung really badly left in the closing stages, and they give him a break and a wind-up since. So I'm just going to put a bit of faith in that wind-up, and hopefully his wins is what's been holding him back from showing his true extent of his ability in the past, and this is the time to catch him.
Excellent stuff, Matt. There's like of Eagles Way. He's got a time form P, potentially improving there. This is like to be a value bet race. Are you anywhere with it at the minute?
Yeah, there's a few value bet, not just Garcia. There's a few others in here that sort of burnt the fingers as well. Lord Protector, put him up before his run at Goodwood. That was just, it was too bad to be true, but I don't think I can go near him on the back of that run. Eagles Way, I fancied at Goodwood as well. He was £3 well in on the back of the very encouraging run behind Cumulonimbus at Yarmouth. So he is £3 higher, but I could see him still having a fair bit to offer this season. He rattled off a hat-trick in pretty quick succession last summer. He's only had the 2 runs this time around as well for Sir Mark Prescott. I just wonder if he might want to go a little bit further. Educator, he's definitely on the short list. Ryan Moore comes in for him, and he just ran last week at York, and I thought he ran quite an encouraging race. He's an interesting one. He drops back from 1.5 miles. He ran in the race that Moore won on Maraba the Champ over 1.5 miles, and he just kind of caught the eye. When you think about the improvement that he made from his first run back this season at Epsom into Doncaster, where he was a good third to A. Merrick, he might just improve for the run at York. I quite like the fact that he's dropping back in distance and the quick turnaround for him. So he's on a mark of 91. I think eventually William Haggis is going to find the key to him, and the second run in the blinkers might be the time to catch him. Educator for the King.
Educator for His Highness. If you're watching, Your Majesty, good luck with Educator at Sandown. The running order says AOB elsewhere. It's either a guide to Aidan O'Brien's runners in Ireland, or it's in any other business. I think it's that one. Go on then, Andy. Have you got anything else for us across Saturday's meetings?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier. I just wanted to mention Military Order running at Chester. William Buick's going there rather than Sandown to ride him. And we haven't seen him since he finished last in the Derby, but it's worth remembering he was sent off 9-2 for that race after beating YP Rowe at Lingfield. And that horse, he ran poorly in the Derby as well, but he came out and he franked that form at Royal Ascot. So I think there's still a lot of ability there. And if you can forgive that run at Epsom, which I'm willing to do, it's his first go at the track. I don't think you like the fast ground. It's over 1.6 miles on Saturday, and I think it's interesting that you can back him at the moment for 14 to 1 for the St Ledger, and if he wins on Saturday, I think he'll be half that price, so it might be worth getting him on side now.
Lovely, interesting. In fact, he's been off since Epsom as well, suggests that all might not have been well after that. Matt, an AOB for Saturday?
Yeah, poor old Apollo 1. I think he might win the Beverley Bullet. This has got to be his race, hasn't it? It's definitely a race for those horses that are just caught between the top handicaps and proper group races. It is a listed race. It serves a purpose. His form's been working out really well. It's amazing to think that he's only won a couple of turf races in his life, but if you go through his form this year, second to Badri at Epsom, he ran second to St Lawrence as well at Royal Ascot. That form's all worked out really, really well. Then he was runner-up again in the Stewards Cup at Goodwood behind Aberama Gold. But this is a race for him, dropping back to 5 furlongs. He shows loads of speed. I think he's going to be really suited to it. Graham Lee in for the ride for Apollo 1.
There you go. We end with Apollo 1. That's our thought on the big betting races for Saturday, and best of luck with your own weekend wagers.
You can watch more Sporting Life video by clicking on the left here, and you can download the free Sporting Life app in your app store now for the latest news, expert tipping insight and big race analysis, all at the tap of a finger. Users must be 18 or over to sign up to the Sporting Life app.